Hello again. Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, please take a look at my other videos where I'm talking about a design to a device that I believe would change electrical theory and the physics behind it. In this video, I wanted to address the laws of thermodynamics specifically and how they relate to my design and how I address those laws individually. So if you believe that the best place to start to explain thermodynamics is probably with the first law, instinctually you'd be right, but factually you'd be incorrect, because the zeroth law is the law of thermodynamics that is so fundamental that once they realized it, they had to write it in before the first. And so the zeroth law is basically the understanding of a thermal transfer or an equilibrium between three individual bodies. And the thought is that their energies will reach an equilibrium at some point and their thermal balance will equate. So using this law in my design, I have three electrodes. We have one anode and two cathodes, and I'm trying to obtain the potential of that single anode. And using three electrodes, we have two chambers. And so we move the potential between inside and outside reactions. And electricity is simply a matter of the potential movement of electrons. And so this becomes the finish line in all of the individual movements. And so once we understand the zeroth law, then we could move on to the first law. And the first law basically states that there's a conservation of energy, that you can't get anything more out than what you put in an isolated system, in a closed circuit. And so in a closed circuit, we see that as the equal and opposite force that provides the resistance or the impedance of that circuit to move forward in that closed system. And so if we look at my design and how I'm addressing the first law, the capacitor anode is connected so that it forms a circuit. It will be similar to a circuit in an AC motor. And similarly, the magnetron set also forms a circuit connected together, similar to an AC motor as well, except they require switching at the top and bottom points. And so this switching is what will continue the entropy of the circuit. This is what will be used in order to pulsate that circuit, in order to continually create the Big Bang of that individual phase. And so when we consider the Big Bang of a circuit, we know that that circuit comes to life and an equal and opposite force is created to impede that circuit from moving forward. And so this is how we push it forward, we force it forward in order to convert that energy. However, if we were able to expel the magnetic field of a switching circuit through the time varying of capacitors and its space as it travels along that circuit, then I believe that we'll be able to harness the equal and opposite force of that individual phase of power. Now, the first law also goes on to explain the amount of that energy, the internal energy, being that a transfer can take place either through some sort of heat or mechanical work, but those numbers will equate. There will be a balance that essentially means that we have heat loss and that we can't get complete efficiency is the issue. However, if we are able to recycle that heat in order to get that DC circuit to behave like an AC circuit, that's the point that we need to reach. So now the laws of thermodynamics, the second law is the law that talks about heat transferring from hot to cold, and it is part of the theory that prevents perpetual motion machines from happening, and is the biggest stumbling block for anybody that discusses perpetual motion machines or new energy devices. But if you understand the concept, then you'll understand that I'm not creating perpetual motion or energy out of nothing. I'm simply unlocking something that is already there. So if we go back to the design of the device, the cathodes are electroplated iron with inducting coils wrapped around. And so this is essentially a transformer. However, the iron core is typically laminated, where we are using dielectrics to allow a transfer of heat to take place. And so as this heat is created, we also have magnetron circuits that are moving it in another direction. And so this entire concept allows for the potential movement and thermal transfer of heat in a very efficient manner within a circuit. And so by continually switching that circuit, we are creating that inertial moment that creates an equal and opposite force. And as it passes through every moment within each capacitor, we are attempting to separate the equal and opposite force that creates the resistance or impedance of a circuit. So with all that being said, I could understand why some people have an inclination not to believe anybody when they come around with a perpetual motion type machine. However, my design will bring about a new current. It follows the design of a lot of different electrical components. However, they're put together in a different fashion. And the way that they're put together leads or should lead one to believe that this is actually physically possible. All the laws of thermodynamics are actually applied. The zeroth law, in terms of 3 electrodes and the 3 bodies with 2 chambers, are moving potential between them. This is our finish line. Each individual oscillation that occurs against the inducting coils through the capacitors creates the direction of travel that we're going to use in each individual phase. And the switching creates the inertial moment that we're looking to separate and create a monopole situation. And so instead of rotating magnetic fields, we're expelling them at every given point and moment in time of an individual circuit. And as we do this, we create 2 cycles within a single phase, a hot and a cold cycle, a positive and a negative cycle. And according to our papers and our physicists, there is negative energy. However, nobody's been able to explain exactly what that is. And I believe that my design is the first design that would explain negative energy as the equal and opposite force of a circuit at every given point in time as the capacitors work and space as it moves around that individual circuit. So if you understand everything that I've explained, or even if you understand some but not all of it, you could, I hope, at least understand why I have this Ask Elon campaign. This is something that goes against electrical theory, but it fits right inside of. And building a device like this is going to take a lot of money, and I'm not interested in the way that things have been done. But obviously, I'm going to need the help of somebody with the will, resources, and knowledge to help me change electrical theory. I've lost everything getting to here, and I can't take it the rest of the way alone. So please like, share, and subscribe. But more importantly, ask Elon if he's willing to help me build this.